As you all know, Scousers don't get knocked out are famous words that belong to a baddie known as Paddy Pimblett.
No one's knocking me out. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm a Scouser. We don't get knocked out.
And I'm sure Darren Till can testify to this phrase because Darren Till famously broke Jorge Masvidal's hand with his Scouse chin and afterwards pretended to fall asleep and let Jorge take the win after he had ferociously broken Jorge's hand with his Scouse chin, which I believe to be a truly humble act. We can all learn something from Darren Till's humility. I've never seen such humble behavior in a UFC fight before, by pretending to fall asleep after breaking your opponent's hand with your Scouse chin in devastating fashion, may I add, and by extension helping your opponent pay his bills by letting him win. Because we all know, Scousers don't get knocked out.
We don't get knocked out.
This Saturday, the legendary bone-crushing Scouse chin is back in action. Michael Chandler is fighting Paddy Pimblett in the co-main event at UFC 314. To this day, I'm still surprised how Paddy Pimblett has made it this far without getting clipped. I don't understand how someone so trash can be undefeated in the UFC and is now fighting a top 10 opponent. On the other hand, I don't understand how Michael Chandler can be so athletic, so thick, so juicy, possess insane attributes and a decent skill set, but have such brain-dead fight IQ. This is truly a battle of opposites, and it is exactly that makes this fight intriguing. When this fight first got announced, my first thought was Chandler knocking out Paddy just like he knocked out Patricky Pitbull. But then I started thinking about Michael Chandler's fights in the UFC, and that's when I realized he's actually got no fight IQ whatsoever. But there is one fight that shows promise. That was actually his UFC debut 4 years ago when he knocked out Dan Hooker, which, if you're Paddy Pimblett, I'd be extremely, definitely 100% completely terrified. First things first, even though Chandler is super strong, thick, juicy, and athletic, that doesn't mean he's going to have the size advantage. Paddy is much taller than Chandler, and Paddy's also a fatty. He looked huge in his last fight against Bobby Green, so don't be surprised if Paddy turns out to be the one with the size advantage. Now let's talk about Paddy. The obvious elephant in the room is how high Paddy keeps his chin. Paddy's primary way of defending punches is moving away or using his chin. He doesn't move his head. His boxing defense is non-existent. Actually, his boxing in general is atrocious. Watching Paddy throw punches is like watching WNBA players trying to dunk. It ain't great. When you look at his exchanges and combinations, they're very looping, wide punches, horrible form, basically a bunch of arm punches. And the longer the combination, the more exposed his chin gets. Just look at his fight with Jared Gordon. Gordon was landing all fight long. A simple level change was all he needed to land his left hook. Gordon was straight spamming the right hand to the body into a left hook the whole fight. When you compare that to what Chandler did to Hooker, it's looking very scary for Paddy, because this is the one combination that Chandler uses the most. So yeah, it's not looking too good for Paddy. He does have good kicks though. He has very flexible hips and a lot of dexterity in his kicks. He has good calf kicks, which are going to be very effective against Michael Chandler. Michael has a very wide stance, and that leaves him very susceptible to leg kicks. And also, Chandler has never shown a good ability to deal with leg kicks. Apart from the calf kicks, Paddy has surprisingly fast head kicks, especially with his lead leg. He kinda throws it from his stance. It's more like a Taekwondo head kick instead of a Muay Thai one, which could be a very sneaky weapon for Paddy in this fight, especially when you consider the speed at which he can throw it. Now, Paddy's best skill is his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Paddy is actually very high level on the ground. He has very good submissions and top pressure as well. But the fight where he showed his top pressure was against a very old, slow, dusty, over the hill, out of his prime Tony Ferguson. So we gotta take that with a grain of salt. If Paddy wants to win this fight, he has to be on his bike from minute 1 and only throw kicks, kinda like how he fought Bobby Green. He has to avoid all exchanges in the pocket and getting backed up to the cage, where Chandler can go full primal mode berserker and unleash a million power punches. And when it comes to his punches, he should only look to counter. Also, do not be surprised if Paddy drops Michael Chandler or straight up knocks him out. Michael's chin is no longer what it used to be, and he will give Paddy opportunities to land. Again, to summarize, Paddy needs to be on his bike, fight on the outside, use his kicks, attack that calf, and after he's compromised Chandler's leg and movement, that is when he should look to take the fight to the ground where he can use his excellent BJJ. So we've spoken about what Paddy needs to do to win the fight, but now it's time to talk about how Michael Chandler can fraud check Paddy Pimblett and send him straight packing to the Shadow Realm. Now Michael Chandler, I would say, has better punching form and, dare I say, better boxing than Paddy Pimblett, but just like Paddy, his boxing defense is to eat all the punches and rely on his toughness and chin. Although he doesn't keep his chin in the air like Paddy, Chandler is very hittable and gets hurt almost every single fight. Got dropped and TKO'd by Charles, got dropped by Gaethje, got dropped by Dustin, and got dropped by Tony. So out of his 6 UFC fights, he got dropped in 4 of them. And because he's so physically gifted, his skills haven't developed that much. He tends to rely too much on his attributes. Part of it is to entertain the crowd, but you know, there comes a point where you prioritize winning. But hey, what do I know? Michael Chandler definitely has the better wrestling of the two. He could easily take Paddy down, practically at will. But I don't think he should take the fight to the ground. If he does that, he's essentially going into Paddy's world. But even if he does that, I don't think he'll get submitted. Hear me out. His only submission loss was against Dustin after Dustin had beaten him into a pulp. So, of course he's gonna tap. And let's not forget, he's had Charles on his back in 2 fights and did not get submitted. However, even though he probably won't get submitted, I think it's likely that he will get out grappled. Another thing going against Michael Chandler is the calf kicks. This is the story of every Michael Chandler fight. And in this fight, we're not going to see any improvements. At this point, the man has been fighting since 2009. And at 38, he's not going to improve much. Having said that, Michael Chandler possesses something that can easily win him the fight in the first round. He's got that great equalizer. That is explosiveness combined with power. He's got the power advantage. I don't know if he's faster than Paddy because Paddy is pretty fast, but he's definitely got the power advantage. Oh, and how can I forget? I've already mentioned this, but the combination that Paddy is most susceptible to is the one combination that Michael Chandler stab pads the most. Right cross to the body, left hook up top. So, does that mean Chandler is going to knock out Paddy Pimblett? Well, obviously not. How can low fight IQ Michael Chandler beat someone protected by plot armor? Looking at their attributes, yes, Chandler should absolutely starch Paddy. But because Chandler has the fight IQ of a carrot, he's gonna gift Paddy a submission. So that is it, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment your prediction down below. If you enjoyed the videos and would like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee with the link in the description. That's it from me. I'll be back after UFC 314, and have a good one.